Are you gutsy? Do you have big dreams, big goals? Maybe even some people have told you that they are crazy goals. Gutsy Travels. We are a travel show with a twist. We have inspiring interviews with gutsy people around the country who have been gutsy. This is where you want to be. Be inspired to be gutsy yourself. Welcome to another episode of Gutsy Travels. We are a travel show with a twist. That twist is that I travel around the country interviewing or having conversations with people who have been gutsy in their life so that they can inspire the rest of us with their gutsy stories. Well, today I have a special guest, and we actually had to drive about an hour and a half outside of Las Vegas to come to Valley of Fire. It is a state park in Nevada, and I gotta tell you, it kind of looks like Moab, which is part of this episode, was Moab, Utah. Well, my gutsy guest today, his name is Jack W. Peters, and he is an explosives expert. So you can imagine there are times when he needs to be gutsy if he's blowing up big things. And we're going to hear one of his gutsy stories today. Let me introduce you to Jack W. Peters. Jack, come on over.
Well, hello. Thank you, Chrystina.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and for driving out here and having some fun.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah. Congratulations on your show. How exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now you're part of it.
Great.
We've known each other now, about a year?
Yeah.
And I have heard lots of stories from you, which is partly why I wanted to interview you.
Some are true, you know. Well, I like the theme of your show.
Yeah.
Gutsy.
Yeah.
Because the root word is gut.
Yeah.
I mean, we think with our brain, our passion and our desire comes from our heart. But when we challenge ourselves, we feel it in our guts, right?
Yes, those emotions.
Exactly.
That fear.
Yes.
And scariness.
And some of what I talk about is how can you spend more time in that zone when you're challenging yourself? Because let's face it, we're not going to do anything legendary sitting on the couch.
Yep.
In fact, we're not going to do anything extraordinary at all until we get out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times do we go through life with our teeth grit, white knuckles, and our stomach turning? And that's all good because that means we're challenging ourselves to be gutsy.
Yes. Well, and just based on what you just said, can you expand on that a little bit more about how you define gutsy?
Well, you know, really, how much time, again, are we doing something where we kind of scare ourselves a little bit, right?
Out of our comfort zone?
Yeah, out of our comfort zone, because that's where we have to be. We really have to be. And much of us, you know, we don't do what we really want to do in life because we're afraid.
Yeah.
Well, what are you afraid of? Exactly. I mean, you have to really analyze what's dangerous and what's not, what's risky and what's not. And even people that are involved in danger and risk find ways to mitigate that, where you can still, you know, live in that playground and survive the other end. Not as like you're always going to come out okay, but at least by taking risks and chances, you can really live a more abundant life.
And I agree with that completely. We feel it in our gut. We know we're uncomfortable, and yet we can plan ahead so that we do that research, so that we still take those chances.
Exactly.
So that we don't have regrets. That's what I don't want in life, is regrets. How about
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely right. Because in life, you have the choice of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Yes.
If you don't focus on something where you can actually learn to do what you want to do, what you need to do, the right thing to do, then you're going to live a life of regret.
Yeah.
You know, what's shocking and interesting is that these like survey companies interview these older people at the end of their life. And the response is almost always the same. These older people will say, man, I just wish I would have taken more risks. I wish I would have pursued the person I really wanted to marry or the job I really wanted. I was afraid to, and someone else did it.
Yeah.
Well, what are you afraid of? No one gets out alive. I mean,
That is true.
I'm not saying to take unnecessary risks, but again, I think it's really important. And I think successful people learn to really understand what's risky and what's not. And, you know, what's the consequences of the action you're going to take? What are the rewards and what are the risks? And I think the rewards can outweigh that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we don't know it unless we take action. And
Right.
we get out there and we do it.
Absolutely.
All right. So
What
thank
can
you.
go wrong?
Everything and nothing.
We just left a gift shop that had fireworks and liquor in the same place. I mean, brilliant, right?
Fireworks. Oh, we're starting to talk your language
yeah.
now when
Oh,
it comes
yeah.
to explosives.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. You know, we are in a beautiful state park. I would love to do a little hiking. Let's go find another place
Let's
where
do it.
we can continue talking. What do you think?
It's a deal.
All right. Awesome. That is cool.
Epic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can we stop here and continue our chat?
Yes.
All right, awesome. That is so beautiful. All right, let me come over. It's beautiful here.
Very nice.
In the middle of the desert, all these
Colors.
colors,
Yeah.
the vistas.
Stripes of colors as far as you can see.
Yeah, and even just behind us, the rainbow of the rocks that we have. That is gorgeous.
Beautiful area.
Well, I'm so glad that you're doing this with me today.
Yeah.
So, to continue our gutsy conversation, can you tell us a time when you were gutsy? And when we had talked before, you had said that there was actually one that was pretty recent in a place that looks kind of similar to where we are today. Tell us about that.
Well, I make a living by managing risk, we could say. I do explosives.
Yeah.
Do explosives on television on occasion. I do racing. And the most dangerous thing is I married a redhead. So I have to live with risk every day. And
He loves his wife. He truly does. He's always taking pictures of her and posting them as well. We love them. She does not.
it's all good. Recently, I got a call from a colleague that said, how fast can you get to Moab, Utah? And it usually doesn't take too much arm twisting to get me to Moab because it's such a spectacular place.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, what happened is a giant boulder out of a rainstorm fell on some railroad tracks. And so the goal was we need someone to shoot this giant boulder so we can open up the railroad tracks. It's kind of important to have those open. And so like, how fast can you be there? So went ahead and made a quick trip to Moab and found out that this giant rock was 4 miles in on the railroad track. So we had to take one of those trucks that had the drop-down rail wheels to go ahead and come on in and have a look at it. And this little rock that fell was like 35 feet long, 20 feet high, and 20 feet wide, rolled right on the tracks and crushed them. And they're like, well, what do you think? And I'm looking around at this monster, and then I hear traffic. And just like looking down like the ridge like here is Highway 191 that brings the traffic in and out of Moab. And then right across the street from that, like right down there, is Arches National Park.
Oh my gosh, there's a big parking lot. I've been there.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, one of the most, probably the busiest national park in the country because it's such a stunning place to visit.
Beautiful.
And like this project could be a little more complicated than I might think.
But you had already accepted the project, correct?
Oh, yes, yeah. And the guy that I worked for that hired me to come in, he actually flew a crew in from Oregon that had older rock drills and everything they needed to start drilling holes in this rock so I could get them loaded with explosives and shoot them.
So it didn't seem too gutsy at first.
Manageable.
Manageable. You get there and it's big.
Yep.
But it seems to me that there were some other things that happened. So what was the biggest challenge that you had to deal with for this explosive job that you thought was going to be pretty easy?
Yeah, it's actually a good analogy for life, right? Because you kind of start a project, but then you realize things are always a little more complicated than what they may seem.
Can happen.
It's a good example of, kind of making a plan and trying to navigate through to finish the job, right? And we're working away and we get a call and this guy sounds rather frantic. He says, there's liquid gas lines running right behind where you're working. You have to stop the job immediately because the vibration alone could cause those natural gas lines to blow up. I'm like, oh, that wouldn't be good at all. So we waited for them to bring out a couple representatives to see where the lines were at. And they said, well, you're probably okay where you're at. Okay, well, that's reassuring. And we start working again. And then we get another call from another agency that says, there's dinosaur tracks right next to where you're at. We cannot damage those dinosaur tracks.
Oh my. More complexity.
Yeah, I'm like, well, tell us where the dinosaur tracks are. We'll make sure to cover them up or not, be on them. Well, we can't tell you, then you'd know where they're at. I guess that's pretty sound logic. So, one thing led to another. We finally got this big rock drilled out. These guys are rock climbers, and they're really professional guys. They're really good at what they do. They do what they call scaling, where they knock down these loose rocks around canyons and roadways so they don't fall on vehicles and all that. And they do all this drilling on the end of a rope. And these guys know what they're doing. And so they got all their work done. I got to load everything up with explosives. And I kept looking how close that park was. It's like, I'm not going to be the guy that's, like international news that put a rock through the roof of the state park. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the hero and not the zero. And it could go either way. When you hit the button, there's no guarantees what's going to happen. I didn't want to be that guy that is in the news for something like that.
More complexity.
Yeah, more complexity.
Now you got to be even gutsier.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure. And, and the state park didn't want to, or the national park didn't want to close down their park. They're like, we have customers, here from all over the world. And it's like, well, they don't want to have a bad day and have a rock bounce off something. And they're like, yeah, good point. We'll go ahead and close the park down. Just give us 20 minutes or so. I mean, not, let's, we can work around it. And anyway, it all worked out.
About inspiration is that it's so much more than just another place to do painting and drink wine. It's all the options that we have to offer that excites me about our studio. We have over 80 different crafts, events, parties, workshops, and a splatter room. We have fun for all ages here at Inspiration Las Vegas. Cheers!
So something that seemed easy, you accepted the assignment.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this done. And then one complexity after another, more layers, more people involved, permits. Oh my goodness.
But isn't that life?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, we don't, what I like to focus on is, why aren't you doing what you want to do in life, right? And some people will like start a project and they realize that it might be a little more complicated than they think it was, and then they back away.
Yes.
Complication is okay. Everything's more complicated than what it probably used to be. You just have to look at each layer and how do you address those things one at a time. And that's where kind of a team comes in, because even if you're not familiar with how to solve that problem, someone else is, right? And that's kind of the whole idea, is that often life is more complicated for anything that we can just do on our own. That's why you have a whole team to help you. And you just find people that know how to solve those problems and get on the phone and ask questions, find people, meet people that can help you one thing at a time, until you get the liquid gas lines out of the way, the dinosaur tracks out of the way, the highway and the national park and whatever else, so you can hit that button, right? That big button of life and go,
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And by looking at those peaks and the hoodoos, that I can understand why they say this is the Valley of Fire. It's so cool.
Beautiful place.
It is. I had a great time with you guys today.
I know, it's great. What a great day.
But I do have another question for you.
Another one?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So what advice would you give the viewers about being gutsy based on your experience?
Yeah, well, you got to get out of your comfort zone, right? That's being gutsy. And stop wasting time. It's later than you think. Sometimes people don't do things because they think, well, I'm too old or whatever. Tomorrow's a new day. The sun's coming up. Get out of bed and do something.
Take action.
Take action. Just get started, because action is contagious. The more you do, the more you accomplish, the more you'll want to accomplish and do. And if you're not sure where to start, ask for help, right? Build your team, get advice, go to school, do whatever you got to do. Just get started. You won't regret it, because that's the other big thing too, because you either get the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
I like that. Say that again.
I mean, that's the deal in life. Everyone you get a choice of one of two pains. You can have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
I like that.
And when these survey companies ask old people at the end of their life, their response is often the same. These people say, well, geez, I just wish in my life I would have taken time to take more risks, to get the job I really wanted, to marry the person I really wanted. And if you don't, those things just slip away, because time goes by so quick.
Right.
So that's really the thing, is just get up and take action and just do it. No excuses, right?
Be gutsy.
Be gutsy.
Before it's too late.
Yes.
Before it's too late. Oh my gosh.
Can't beat that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
This has been fun today. I really appreciate you.
Amazing day. I appreciate it very much.
Oh my gosh. This is so beautiful here. Valley of Fire, outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. And we just had a wonderful conversation with Jack W. Peters. He's an explosives guy, so we've got to be pretty gutsy, right? And he took on a job that he thought was going to be pretty easy. And he went there, and not only did it take twice the amount of time to get it done, several more days, but he had to deal with a lot of challenges. And he still did it, even with the complexities as they kept mounting. But they got through it and accomplished the job. You saw the video? They accomplished it as well. So he embraced the complexities and he continued to be gutsy, even though it was outside of his comfort zone. And, well, I imagine he had not dealt with dinosaur tracks before, and he got through it. You can too. If you really want something in life, take action, go to school, do some research. There's so much information out there and it's free. A lot of it's free. Go do what you want to do. Start small, do that research. Taking action just takes a little bit of planning of what to do. You can do that too. So we're gonna go someplace else and find another gutsy guest so that we can tell more stories about people being gutsy, so that you will be inspired, so that you can go after your dreams as well. Just like all our gutsy guests are doing. They're going after their dreams and they're not having regrets. Let's be gutsy before it's too late. In the meantime, be focused, be kind, be gutsy. See you down the road. Which is just going to be the onboard mic, just so we can compare how the audio is on both.
That's right. Which one do you think the audience is going to prefer? We'll find out after these messages. Hey, buddy. Step on it. Come on.
That is cool.
Epic.